Hi, everybody. So I'm Tami from Montreal, former teacher, and I founded VarageSale. And I'm here to talk today about how to create a scalable startup culture. So what is culture at a startup? It sounds kind of cliche to ask that question. People talk about culture all the time, but what is it really? It's the company's underlying values that touch everything from its purpose to its place and its people. And remember those 3 Ps. So before the cutting edge workspaces and laundry list of sought after benefits, a company's culture is really just its founders. That's really what it is. And many founders forget or don't have time to shape their culture from the get-go. And that's okay. But as soon as you start hiring, it's really important to implement your culture before your culture implements you. I saw a stat on entrepreneur.com that said companies with happy employees outperform the competition by 20%. And I fully believe that. When you start thinking of your business's culture, first look at yourself. What are your values? Because if they're your values, that means that they're going to be genuine and easy to implement and teach. Think about how you intend to grow and how people are going to talk about your company that they work for. And this will take time and self-awareness, but it will help in the long run in terms of hiring talent that fits, because building a winning team early on is so important for the success of the company. So the first P is purpose. Once you've determined your company's core values, make sure that your team knows them. A must-have key value for us is that we're here to win. That's an obvious one. And we demonstrate that a lot around the office. But another top value is that we care. And we don't just care about our customers, we care about our staff a lot. Next, get a social committee. Host hackathons, lunch and learns, and events. Get people involved in more than just their everyday jobs. Get them invested into your company culture. So the place. I was an elementary school teacher for 12 years, and you wouldn't think that there would be any similarities between culture in the classroom and culture in the office, but the truth is, there are. The goal is common. Happy, healthy culture leads to happier people, which increases productivity and probability of success. And I've always seen it that way. When I was teaching, I never had desks organized in rows. I had them in circles for collaboration. And taking attendance wasn't how I started the day. I asked the kids what was going on in their lives, so I knew what was coming in the door. And I seldom enforced silence as a form of discipline. Instead, I positioned myself as a facilitator and put my students in charge of their own learning. And I bring that same thinking to VarageSale. The environment of your place is really important. We value open spaces where people can breathe, but we also have closed areas where people can collaborate or just close a door if they need to. And our kitchen is at the center of the office. Much like at home, that's where we reconnect throughout the day. And lastly, we ensure that our office space is a true representation of our product. So we are surrounded by the communities that we host. And if you look over there, you'll see our kitchen, and that's a big scene of Bourbon Street, because that's named after one of our New Orleans communities. Our office is also surrounded by our company values. They're literally written all over the walls. Now, when you're first starting out, you're not in offices like this, obviously. We were at our kitchen table, then we got a one-man office at a U-Haul building. But when we first started hiring in in Montreal, in our very first office space, that's when we started enforcing culture. And top priority was to get good talent in the door. But priority number 2 was to get to know them. Get to know your staff. So we ate lunch together every day. And when we expanded into Toronto, we opened a second office. And when I would come and visit the second office, I noticed that it just didn't feel the same. So we shifted the priority, and I told our COO, get the team to eat lunch together, get them to know each other. And she said, but we don't even have a kitchen table yet. And I said, well, you have a boardroom table. So everybody ate lunch at the boardroom table, and they gelled nicely. And you know how I know it works? Because when we moved the company from Montreal to Toronto, everybody moved with us. Lastly, people. The people that you need are talented people. And that's fine, but they also have to be a culture fit to your company. And if they don't have both those things, you need to be willing to send them out the door. People are powerful in that they can build your culture right up or they can shoot it right down. And once they're in the door, you need to work hard to keep them. Inspire them, listen to their needs, empower them, but most of all, care for them. And really genuinely care for them like I do. And I do. If someone is sick, send them chicken soup. If someone's family member died, go to the funeral. If someone is not happy at work, talk about it. Don't just tell them you care, show them. So make sure you don't put off defining your culture and letting it define you, because it might be the very thing that elevates you to success. Thank you. Questions? Time? Good time. Hi, Lewis. I can read from far. The question is, how did I get people to work for us, to follow us, if I wasn't like a woman in tech, coming from a teaching background? So we have a team now of 85 people, and it started off with just actually my husband and I, so he's my co-founder, and he has a strong tech background and a business background as well. So for sure, our first developers came from, from his scene, from the people that he knew. But I think, honestly, the culture in our office, it's just a great place to work, and I bring a lot to that culture that makes it, just somewhere where people can feel like they're really giving back to the world. We tell stories every day of what's going on in our communities, and it makes people feel like what they're building is important. So I think the mix of those two things is what worked for us. In the back.
So now that you moved from Montreal to Toronto, do you think there's enough talent here to really figure here?
I do. We haven't had, yeah, it is a good question. The truth is, when you said we couldn't find the talent that we wanted in Montreal, we actually found fantastic talent in Montreal, but there is a strong tech hub here, and the population is just that much bigger. And now that we've really grown and built a name for ourselves, it's not as hard to find talent as it used to be. Hi. So what do we do to make sure that we are hiring the right culture? I meet everybody. And I feel like I just have a good sense for it. So the first thing that we look for is talent. Obviously, they need to have the right talent. And then the next thing we look for is culture. And that really is, what has the person done before? Why are they interested in working for us? Asking those kinds of questions. Are they coming to the company because they hear about all the interesting benefits that we have, or are they talking about changing lives? And so when I hear, a real interest for the product and they've done their research, that's when I open my ears a little bit more.
Last question.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you communicate your values, how do you make sure that those things actually mean something to the company, not just fluff?
How do I make sure the values aren't just fluff? That's an excellent question. Every week, we meet with all the new hires, both Carl and I, and we have a session where, we ask about their past work experience, and then we ask about what they do for fun, kind of thing. And at that session, we talk about the values, and we talk about what they mean. So they're not just words on the wall. We talk about why we created them, when we created them. The values didn't all come right away. The first value was we're here to win. It's like a land grab, and then we care came after, and then we commit to deliver, and all of those things that we learned from things that maybe we weren't doing, we try to tell those stories and explain why we chose the values that we did.